I assigned a reading from a textbook by Robert Holmes on applied ethics, Introduction to Applied Ethics, and I assigned this chapter on sexual harassment. Now, to make sure you got the concepts, if you haven't read it up till now, I would suggest you take it out and read it. Um, if you if you're not sure that you got these concepts, make sure to try to go back into the reading and figure out the answers to the following questions, because I think they're going to be important to understanding the whole topic of morality and sexual harassment. First thing is define sexual harassment and explain how is this different from sex discrimination. Sometimes these two are confused. They're really rather different things. Um, then it asks, you should be able to explain the difference between peer harassment, quid pro quo harassment, and hostile environment harassment. Those are three different kinds of sexual harassment. Then, question just to think about in general is sexual harassment a violation of one's right to privacy, or is it something different? And fourth, is sexual harassment in a college setting different than in the workplace? How is it different, or how is it not different? I mean, and some of the things you should know is defining sexual harassment, we're going to spend a little time on because that's not so clear. And what's interesting is some of the how you'd answer the question about sexual harassment, whether it's morally permissible, whether it's not morally permissible, and why is it not morally permissible, has a lot to do with how you actually, or how the concept of sexual harassment is actually defined. And sex discrimination is a little bit different, and you better make sure you should understand the difference between the two. I mean, sex discrimination is, if you think about discrimination on the basis of your sex, your gender, male or female, or other for that matter, or gender, it might be called, nowadays, I guess, gender discrimination is the more current term. Then the three things that you should understand is peer harassment, and that'll be actually a reflection on what sexual harassment, some of the definitions or the weaknesses in definition of sexual harassment. Uh, Prid quo, quid pro quo harassment. Quid pro quo means you're giving up something or you're giving something in order to get something. For instance, you hire somebody for a job and you expect sex as the reward for that. And hostile environment harassment is perhaps not engaging in sex, but in talking about sex in a way that makes other people that harasses other people. So you should think about that a little bit. We probably won't be talking about that in the videos, but I expect you to know what that is. And is sexual harassment a violation of one's right to privacy? That is, what's your right to privacy? And is sexual harassment really different from that? I think it might very well be different, but I think you should at least be able to define those two. And then the question of sexual harassment in a college setting, is that different than in the workplace? I mean, the workplace, as I might have said earlier, is my the college is my workplace. Well, what constitutes sexual harassment? It might be interesting to take a look at the school's policy on sexual harassment to find out the answer to that.